Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. We're GabNet, and we've got you covered live 5 nights a week. First Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, it's The Exchange.
Harlan Ellison totally insisted that there were no sounds in space on Babylon 5. Watching it for 20 minutes will clearly show that there are sounds in space. So what the fuck are you pulling this out of, Mr. Harlan Ellison? That pretty much cemented the idea of who Harlan was in my brain.
Tuesday through Friday at 10 Eastern, join Alex Bennett on the Ramble.
You don't think Bill Clinton's a pervert?
No, I don't.
Go ahead.
No, I really don't. I think I think he's a man who let his dick talk for him. You know, I think he's a guy who was pursued by a young woman and should have said no, but he didn't. Now, the only woman I ever talked to that fucked Bill Clinton was Jennifer Flowers. She kept saying during the interview, you know, I really did have sex with Bill Clinton. And I asked her the question, I said, that's not what's important to me. What's important to me was he a gentleman? And she said, he was terrific. She said, every time we'd have sex, the next day he would call and see if I was okay. He never dodged my calls. If I wanted to call him, he was an absolute gentleman.
Tuesday through Friday at midnight, The Intersection.
We now know that Trump doesn't hate all Democrats. He at least likes the Democrats who he perceives to be as crooked as he is.
Ah, wait a minute, ring that bell!
I mean, between Menendez and Blagojevich, you know, who he pardoned.
Mm-hmm. If you like sports, we've got that too, with The Arena, Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
There's a lot of long-ass games come knockout round because they have to finish. So you have to play up to 120 minutes plus a penalty shootout. A penalty kick shootout.
Finally, you can get hot and bothered on Connections at 10 p.m. Eastern Monday and by delay Tuesday through Friday at 1 a.m. Eastern.
Many customers have seen a young girl in
period clothing. Do it. Just say it. I can't say it. She knows, even though it means something totally different. Immediately she's thinking she's wearing rags.
Bloody Mary.
Come on, do
Bloody
it.
Mary. Bloody Mary.
That was my own joke. What? Were you looking in the mirror when you did that?
No.
Catch up on all the shows with our weekend flashback. All shows have the Citizen Panel, an exclusive concept of GabNet. It's new, it's daring, it's talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of The Ramble, heard here and seen here on GabNet, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GabNet laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality, but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett /live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT /live, and you're there. The player is waiting, and you do nothing, and when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser, and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. Please.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey! Hey everybody, it's Alex Bennett. It is the Ramble, and my wife is driving me crazy tonight. What? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I gotta turn your mic on.
I'm watching Damien.
Can you hear yourself in your earphones?
Yeah.
Oh, well then what were you complaining about, for crying out loud?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You were saying, I can't hear. What are you doing?
I'm watching.
You're watching what?
Damien.
But we're doing a program here.
I know, but this is important. I'm timing him.
Well, what?
I'm timing him.
He's very fast.
Not tonight. That little arrow is just sitting there. It's not moving tonight, Damien. Sorry.
Well, okay. Well, anyway. That's my wife, who could care less about doing this program tonight. So. No, but I mean, I'm trying to do the switch over.
Oh, here we go.
And I'm trying to do the switch over, and all of a sudden, I can't hear this and I can't hear that, and I almost missed starting the recording.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Well, oh my gosh is right. I have a lot of things I have to do all at once, and the older I get, the harder it is to do.
Well, that's true. That's true.
First I do A, and then I do B, and then I do C, and whatever.
Damien, what happened to you?
Wait, stop it with Damien. Nobody knows what's going on.
I'm watching.
Well, it doesn't matter.
There
Nobody knows what's going on.
He's so cute.
What? Oh, well. Oh, boy. Wait, are you finished?
I'm finished.
Huh?
There goes Damien.
No, he's not gone yet.
He's
He
almost
hasn't. He hasn't signed off.
He's going up there now.
Is he?
Yep.
Well, yeah, there it goes.
Okay.
He's gone. He's posted his show.
Yes, he did.
Are you happy?
Yes.
Boy,
you be nice.
Boy. What?
You be nice.
Well, you almost made me miss my cue.
Well, I'm going to be gone for a whole week.
It may have screwed the opening to the show for the reruns.
I doubt it.
On the TV, yeah.
I doubt it.
I don't doubt it.
Here's my little violin.
What? You don't care. I work my ass off here every night, and I don't know why.
I'm playing the violin.
I'm beginning to say to myself, gee, shouldn't I just do this one day a week? Like, that's what Albert suggested. He said, I don't know why you do this 4 nights a week, Well,
and, you might want to try it and see what happens. You might want to try it and see what happens. You might want to try it and see what happens.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Listen, I miss all the good stuff that you talk about because you like to save it for the call-ins, but there's lots of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
That Obama speech today was just incredible.
Oh, by the way, Phil is not calling tonight.
Oh, it's a Phil-free night.
Yeah,
feel free to call.
Of all nights for him not to call, I would just, I'd love to hear him find any fault with that speech, with that Obama speech. And
then they do play it right on top of Trump's speech where he says, "Oh, I fell asleep."
You know what? Well, to begin with, Trump, Obama is a much better speaker than you could ever hope to be.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't falling asleep. I watched it twice.
I watched the whole thing.
It was a masterful speech.
It was excellent.
In which he really was trying to, I don't know, it's just, I miss him. God, I miss him. I miss that kind of elegance. But I don't have to miss him anymore. He's back.
He's talking to the young generation because that's the generation that's, as he said, was the biggest population of voting age. Is this Gen X?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the biggest group of numbers of voting.
But it was a great speech.
Yeah.
It was really.
And of course the Republicans can use it also as a get out the vote speech.
Well, you know something? The reason I wanted to have Phil here tonight was because I wanted to say, go listen to that speech and tell me anything in it that you disagree with. As right-wing as he is, as conservative as he considers himself to be, as defensive of Trump as he is, try and find anything in that speech that he said that you can't agree with.
I agree.
Basically, it was a call for us to get back to our core values.
Yeah, and to help save democracy, which is so frail right now.
Well, yeah.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
It is very.
We're at a turning point right now.
I thought one of his better lines was, "In what world or whatever are Nazis okay?
Yeah, is it okay to salute the Nazis?
Yeah.
It's not okay.
It was just a masterful speech, and it was well written. I don't know who wrote it for him. He may have written it himself.
Yeah.
After all, he doesn't have much to do.
He's gone into entertainment.
But he delivers a wonderful speech.
He always has.
I mean, he could win an election with that speech today.
Yeah.
Where he has a little trouble, hems and haws, is when he goes off script. When somebody's interviewing him and then he has to
get back,
give an answer back, there's a lot of humming and hawing. But when he gets up there to give a speech, there is nobody better. He's better than Clinton was.
And his jokes are good. He's got some good jokes.
Yeah. No, he's very, very light. And so I can't see where anybody would find disagreement with that speech today.
Yeah.
It wasn't biased. It wasn't saying, oh, hey, we're liberals and we do this and that.
No, it says we have to talk as a country, both Democrats and Republicans.
You know what he did? He best described the good things about being a liberal, about being to the left, and just the core values that we have as a result of it. Much like the guy who wrote the op-ed article in the Times.
Well, he also talked about how the Republican Party is...
You're not letting me finish my thought.
Sorry.
Much like the guy who wrote the op-ed piece, who if we want to be kind to him, would say this was somebody who felt so compelled to tell the country, what's going on and to warn them. Today, Obama got up and did pretty much the same thing in that I think he came forward because he just felt it was time he had to say something about this.
And what I liked is the fact that he was really talking to the younger generation. I mean, he was speaking to a college crowd, and they're the ones that are voting. They're the ones that have to get out.
Well, the thing is, when I heard that speech today, I was so enthralled by it, I didn't change the channel, and I really should have gone over to see if Fox was running it. Because I'm sure they were covering the Trump rally, which was going on at the same time.
Of course.
But...
and all he does in his speeches is talk about, all the things that he has done,
Well, I mean, basically Obama said, hey, you just simply continued what I started. It's really true. We were moving in a fairly positive direction.
I mean, look at the country when he took over.
Oh, it was a mess.
It was a mess.
It was just an absolute mess. Well, the Republicans always leave it a mess.
Right, and then they want to come down about this big extra.
Well, here's what happens. It's kind of like, when I was, you ever have a dog and you throw a stick and he goes and chases the stick, but you don't have to actually throw the stick. You can just pretend to throw a stick and he goes chasing it, right? It's the same thing with the Democrats. Every 4 years or every 8 years, they want to win. And for the last 8 years, the Republicans have fucked up the country. And so what the Democrats have always managed to adopt was a broken country. And then they have to fix it. Like Obama had, we had the mortgage crisis. That was the closest thing to a depression we've ever had. And he had to get us out of that. Well, it's like, there we go, chasing the stick again. No, let them do it for another 8 years. Let them really take it into the dumper and never get elected again. But no, we come along, and then we're blamed for all the things that went wrong while you were in office trying to save this fragile democracy.
Well, plus the fact when Obama came in, the Republicans pretty much didn't allow him to do anything.
Well, no, the first 2 years he had a Democratic
he still had trouble getting that health plan in.
No, that happened during the second term.
First term.
No, second term.
First.
Obamacare was second term. He didn't tackle it in the first term because he realized something. He learned from Hillary Clinton. You learn from Clinton. You don't do it during your first part you don't do it during the first part of your time in office.
Okay.
Because then you can't get all the other stuff done because people are saying what a failure that was, or you have a harder time getting it through.
And now that they have this incredible tax bill that helped the 1%, where are they going to make up that deficit? They're looking at Social Security, they're looking at Medicare, Medicaid, food for kids in schools. I mean,
you know who I feel sorry for? I had a discussion with my physical therapist yesterday about Medicare, Medicaid, insurance companies, what have you. And doctors really have it rough now. What was that look? They do have it rough.
They don't have it rough.
Have you ever talked to some of them? I have.
Well, I have too. I mean, it's just paperwork. If we had single payer.
How many doctors do you know in the time that in the last couple of years, do you know who've just gotten out of the business?
That's true.
Or gone to work for an
hospital.
A hospital or whatever. I know way too many. One of our doctors, a woman who worked with Dr. Kenish, who was his partner, she left and went to Mount Sinai. The first doctor I ever knew that disappeared from the scene. I had a great doctor in San Francisco because, as you know, I'm a hypochondriac.
Oh, really?
And I had a doctor who said to me, he was my look at your ass doctor, gastroenterologist.
Okay.
And he said, you have a great fear about, oh no, he was prostate. Yeah, he was a urologist.
The finger up your ass doctor.
And he was good. He was really good. But he said, you really need a primary care physician. And he said, I know how you are about doctors because I've noticed that you're apprehensive. I've got just the doctor for you. He deals with hypochondriacs. So I found this doctor, and I do remember that when you went into his office, when you went into his room, the little room they have you wait in for the doctor in.
Waiting room.
They give you little slippers to put on, and they had like funny little faces on them. And you looked at the ceiling, and there were pictures on the ceiling. He was just wacky that way.
Just to calm you down.
But when I ever went to that doctor and I had something wrong with me and I walked out of there, I knew I'd been taken care of. I wasn't apprehensive about the outcome. And but he all of a sudden one day said, I'm giving up my practice. This was years ago, and I'm moving to Sedona, Arizona, where I'm going to go to work for one of these hospitals because I can't afford it any longer. Single doctors having that single office, the doctors you're used to going to, the doctor with the office, and you go and he's got the painting, the writing on the window, and you go in and there he is, old doc, smoking his cigarette. You go in there and he's he's doing what he does, and today you don't have those kind of doctors anymore. I asked this guy, my physical therapist, how many people do you have working here who deal with nothing but the insurance companies?
Oh, every doctor has one.
Do you know how many people this place employs? He said 8. He said, we got 3 out front and 5 in the back, and they get a total of about $400,000 a year just to get the money from the insurance companies and from Medicare.
Yeah.
So you can't be that single doctor who's got his little office, and people trust him, and let's go see Doc, I
remember when I was growing up, the doctors came to the house.
Oh, well, forget that. The last doctor I ever had come to my house, and she may still be doing it, was an orthopedist. And the reason why she came to your house was she said, I decided that having an office was too expensive, and that most of my patients, because their feet were bad, are old people, and they don't want to have to travel to an office. So I just make house calls. That's how I do my business. I carry my business in my valise here. And, she dealt with my feet, came out and did that. But no, you don't have doctors making house calls, although they have a new thing.
Oh, the
concierge.
Concierge.
Our doctor.
All of them
came up with this concierge thing, and
all
for $2,000 a year,
you get a house visit.
You get concierge service. In other words, if you call him up and say I'm sick, he'll see you right now.
If it's 3 in the morning, he'll see you.
Somehow I don't know. It just seems really weird to me that in my lifetime, doctors have been there when you're sick. You call him up, you say I'm sick. He says get down here right now, right? But now he goes, I'm sorry, do you hear my concierge service? But with the concierge service, what you get is is his home phone number, and which I'm sure isn't his home phone number. It's probably his business number, and he'll be on call 24 hours a day for you with his concierge service.
Right.
So he's my doctor. What am I going to pay him $2,000 for just so I can,
But all the doctors are doing that. We got grandfathered in. But a friend of mine, her and her husband, had no choice. They went to the doctor because they didn't have a choice to be grandfathered in. They had to pay it.
Did you see the thing I sent you today from...
yeah, what is that?
I don't know. I thought you might call them
well,
when you get a chance.
When I get a chance.
I don't think it applies to us. It's basically...
It's an increase here and there.
But it's an increase in what makes you eligible to get the health insurance.
Yeah,
we've got
fine.
it already.
We're fine.
Oh, if they charge a little more, listen,
it's a steal.
It's a good service.
Yeah.
It's a good service. So anyway, her computer, which I'm so proud of myself. I fixed her computer.
You should be very proud of
I fixed her
yourself.
computer until she went in this morning and it was broken again.
Well, it was black. It was just dead.
The hard drive. And then I started up and the line went, never started up. So then I just went back and reformatted the drive and re-put in the system, and then I re-put in the backup of the stuff. Took about 8 hours for it to cook. Okay, but now I turned it all off.
It's
just
fragile.
If you need it, turn it on. But there's something wrong with that hard drive.
Well, it's old.
And you're gonna have to get yourself a Mac Mini.
It's 10 years
and
old.
I just bought you a big 32-inch screen. Will this screen fit over there?
Yeah.
It will?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. I could even put it on a slant.
Well, you don't need to put it on a slant. You just move everything over.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah. So I got you a big 32 because it doesn't... the real estate is different. All your things will be larger, like your browser and so on.
You mean the icons?
No, the browser itself will be larger on the screen.
Well, you can change that.
No, you can't.
The display? You can't change it with display?
No.
You can make your icons bigger and smaller.
Well, you can do that, the icons, but you can't do the browser. The browser just is a browser, You can't take this browser, and if I make it smaller, what happens is you lose, look here, see, watch what happens.
Oh,
see?
I know that. I do that every day in my office.
Yeah, so it's just it's just a matter of getting used to it. It's just not going to look as the way that one looks. Okay, but
as long as I have my background on there, I'll be
But
fine.
what we're doing is that we're going to get a Mac Mini, big but. Next Tuesday, they're coming out with all the new stuff for Apple.
I'll be in
and we're
Hong Kong.
hoping that they're going to have a new Mac Mini. If they don't, we'll just buy the ones that already exist. But if they do have the new Mac Mini, we may have to wait till they come out.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what,
Yeah, but I think the Mac Mini is the way to go. Do not get an iMac. That's, because when the hard drive goes, unless,
we already discussed this.
This machine is what, 2008, I think?
What machine? This?
That one, yeah.
It's old.
2008.
I think it's older than that.
I think if I turned it on, I could find out exactly what year it was. But 2007, 2008. So, we could take it out to a place. Apple won't do it because they won't work on one that old. But if I have places you could go, and they would tear that apart and put a new hard drive in there. It costs us a couple of $100, but you go, hey, wait a minute. This is an old computer, How much am I willing to invest in an old computer when I can get the new state-of-the-art stuff? Plus that one, you won't be able to upgrade to the new operating system where the Mini Mac, you will, or the Mac Mini or whatever, you will be able to. Hear me? Listen to me. I'm all stuffed up.
I am all stuffed up, too.
You know what it is?
The weather.
No, I think it's
allergies?
pollen.
Let me have some of that.
This is This is generic Flonase.
It's good.
And I didn't use it a lot, and then it turned out I have like 20 bottles of the stuff sitting around.
No, but it helped me through the spring.
Really?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I have all my medicines.
All right, it's time for me to come over.
No, it's not
yes,
time.
Yes, it is.
No, you have 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
I'm going to start.
No, don't. Do we have to? I don't want to go through this routine again, okay?
We have to start.
Huh?
We have to start. Listen, I'm going away on Sunday.
Yeah, she is going away.
It's our annual meeting in Hong Kong.
So all the women who know me,
just change the sheets.
Yeah, get ready to come over. No, you're going to China, and you're going there only for 3 days.
2 days to get there, 2 days to be there, and 2 days to come back.
Wait a minute. You go Sunday.
I get there Monday.
You get there Monday.
I'm there Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, that's when the thing is.
I leave Thursday, but it's actually 2 days, but I come back Thursday. I leave Thursday and come back Thursday.
You come back Thursday.
Yeah. I'm actually I go back in time.
You know what's funny with all of that? You really don't get, you probably don't have enough time to get jet lag.
Oh, you kidding? It's a killer. I'm jet lagged the whole time I'm there. Plus,
why
when
don't you
come
go over
back,
there and stay there for a couple of days? They'd let you do that.
I was going to, but there's just so much happening in our office right now. So, and you're not coming, so
yeah.
I was going to go visit Echo and her husband, but they're coming here in October.
Yeah. So where are they? Are they in?
They're in Shanghai.
They're in Shanghai.
But they're coming here in October.
And you're going to be in Shanghai.
No,
you're
going to be in
Hong
Hong
Kong.
Kong.
Hong Kong. Oh well. Yeah. You like Hong Kong?
Yeah, it's nice.
It's humid, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's humid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps a little glass of water on their desk.
Really?
For the bugs.
For the bugs?
Yes, I'll go into the water.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I mean, the humidity is supposedly terrible there.
It's like on the equator. We're pretty close to it.
But everything's air conditioned wherever you go.
Everything, and everything is underneath. I mean, you're in a hotel, and you take an escalator 5 stories down. There's this mall, 5 stories of mall, underneath in rock somewhere.
And then you can go over to another hotel,
Yeah, you can walk from hotel to hotel.
And it's all air conditioned.
Everything's air conditioned. Even the walkways are air conditioned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does anybody walk outside?
Yeah, I walk outside.
Yeah, but it's humid.
Well, it's not always.
Well, I mean, Echo, what's the temperature? Oh, she's in the other room.
Okay, come on.
What?
It's time.
What? What are you doing? What are you doing? Watch it. Look at this. Now she's.
I'm coming over, so you better let me come over.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on a second. There we go. Come on over.
Okay.
Come on over. Oh, let me get rid of this.
You're gonna miss me?
Huh? No, I'm not gonna miss you.
Okay.
How can I miss you if you're only gone for 4 days? You know, I would really miss you a lot if you went longer. So could you go longer? Could you do that? Okay, let me see here. Let me turn this on. Turn our panel on, our thing for the panel, and we should be ready to go.
It's a fill-free night, so
it's a fill-free night tonight.
So feel free to call.
So feel free to call.
Feel free to call.
Yeah. Hear that, folks? I still got the air conditioning going, and outside it's only in the low 70s.
No, but the humidity is in the high 70s.
Unbearable.
Yeah,
Here,
it's very.
move over a little bit.
It's like being in Hong Kong.
So you got you in the.
Here we
thing.
go.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
No one wants to talk to old people.
Nobody wants to see old people kiss.
Is that gross? I saw one time on the subway this older couple. Probably our age, but I was younger then, and they were kissing passionately on the subway. I wasn't turned off by it, but I kept staring at it. Yeah.
Well, anyway, people are supposed to call at this point.
So where are they?
Yeah, well, one day they're not going to call.
That's when you hang up.
And
that's when you hang up.
And that's when I say, okay, good night, everybody. I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
You know. But she stayed up just for this.
I did, and I'm very tired.
So it would be nice if you called to talk to her.
So I could go to sleep.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got my other new Mac.
Yeah.
Working pretty good now.
You got a lot of stuff this
Well,
week.
I mean, I replaced everything in it, you know. except the fan.
Which was the display you got from my office? This one?
No.
Oh, which one?
No.
In the other office?
No. Oh, one. Wait a minute.
It's a big one.
No. I didn't get any displays from your
Yes, you
office.
did. You paid $100 for it.
That one? That one busted.
Oh, did it?
That one broke. Yeah. All of a sudden, one day,
Oh.
you know, so
I asked them if they were
that's why I
selling-
got this one.
I asked them if they were selling. What they're going to do is probably, he's going to let Bob know, but probably what they're going to do is get somebody to come in and buy the whole thing.
All the equipment.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Hey, look who's there in his cigar.
In the garage.
In the garage because his wife doesn't want him smoking cigars in the house, right?
You can't blame him.
Well, I don't want to smoke in the house.
Is that your man cave?
It's just a garage. I don't have the man cave in the house. I wouldn't smoke in, so I sit in the garage.
It's nice.
Yeah.
And it's humid.
Oh, tell me about it.
We had rain. It stopped.
It's coming up our way, I
Well,
think.
the trouble that we've had is we've had trouble with the humidity too here.
It's been hot.
In that it's
been hot here.
But now it's not hot anymore. But the humidity made it so we have to keep the air conditioners on.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It was so nice to open the window today, but then
Talk
it just
into
got,
the mic.
It was so nice to open the windows.
Yeah. So
sounds like Hong Kong sounds like Singapore. Everything is underground. Everything is when you go through the city of Singapore, you could walk from one end of the city to the other and never really touch outside. You go from building, you go escalators, and then down and around and under.
What's amazing are these shopping malls that are 4 or 5 stories in the ground.
Right.
With restaurants and movies and #1 Fifth Avenue shops. You know, nothing cheap.
Yeah.
Hong Kong is not a cheap country at all. Very
It
expensive.
reminded me of
Hong
Singapore.
Kong's not a country.
Well, that's true.
China's the country.
used to
Hong
be,
Kong is
right?
the city.
They're having some issues now.
What kind of issues?
Well, China wants to get involved in the politics. They're starting to.
So if they get involved in the politics, what's going to happen?
I don't know.
Oh, look who's calling.
That's because it's a Phil-free night.
Because of Phil Free Night, we get all the quality callers.
Hey, there he is.
And as well as Jeff and his gelato tour. What is that from your Italian trip?
Oh, look at that. Oh,
Like
that's
that?
nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And what does yours say?
Every place that we wore that,
Yeah.
people would come over to us and say, "How did you get on the tour? Can we get on the tour?"
Was it really
it a tour?
really a gelato tour though?
No,
I mean,
it's from the ice cream shop. They
Well,
sold it.
It was, and the fact that it was hot, and and there's plenty of gelatos, and I'll show you the number of places that we stopped. Let's see if I can do this.
oh, okay. Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow.
Okay, Venice, Florence, yeah. Where else?
Rome, Siena, Alex.
We were in Siena. Well, she was actually in a hospital, in a sick bed.
Wow.
Siena. She never saw Siena.
Yeah, you promised to take me back.
Yeah. Yes. Hello there, Tom Yamaguchi.
Your panel's not showing on your YouTube.
Oh, you know why?
You didn't turn it on.
I didn't turn it on. There we go.
That's
you know what it is? I have so many things to look at here that I sometimes forget that I didn't turn something on. Well, I switch the show. I do the whole thing. I run the audio. Rob can appreciate this, right, Rob?
I couldn't do it.
Huh?
I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it.
I'm lucky that I get this thing on at all, but...
And you want to go back to radio. See what you have here?
Well, radio is just one-dimensional, right? All he's got is the board.
Exactly.
You know something? The night I did for Walter, I had withdrawal symptoms afterwards.
I would think you would.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I can't imagine doing it once and then not having, getting to do it again. It's a tease.
Yeah. It's kind of like, as I say, it's like somebody tickling your balls.
Yeah.
And doing a little more than that, But hopefully I'll get to do it again or something.
Did you hear Obama's speech?
I read pieces of it.
try to get on YouTube, I'm sure.
To watch him deliver it, I think, is very important because it is so well done, and he is so eloquent, classy, you know, well spoken, and not trying to alienate people, but trying to, you know, bring them into the fold. I mean, God, we need him. Well, we've got him back, I think. Did you hear it, Tom?
I just only heard parts through the day. I'm definitely going to watch the whole thing.
So when did he give it?
He gave it at
about noon.
About noon our time here. About 10 after
Yeah.
afternoon.
Alex recorded it for me. Thank you very much.
Well, I recorded it for me because I had to do Snyder, and I knew he was going to be giving a speech, so I started recording it.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't for you. What?
Isn't this Kavanaugh thing really scary?
It is scary.
It's like they're pushing this through.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be there
For a
to protect
lifetime.
Trump from
jail.
I forget all the decisions, but
right, and jail.
You know what I don't understand is why they're going through this whole process at all anyway. Just just go vote. What are you doing by this this practice? You know, you think all of a sudden you're going to find something out and every Republican's going to go, "Oh, well, I don't want him." No. Everybody's in lockstep. And so he could go out there, he could stand there in front of the committee and jerk off if he wanted to, and they'd still.
He's in.
You know.
Just about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what.
And it is scary.
You know, what's the whole thing with this futile exercise that they've been doing for the last couple of days?
Show.
Yeah. But you got to hand it to Cory Booker.
Oh, he was great.
You know, he took his
said, bring it on, bring it on.
His career on the line because he could be dismissed as a senator for this.
Yep.
And I don't think he's going to, but still, he took the risk, and I
appreciate it.
If he wants to run for president, he's got my vote.
Hey, I'm going to sleep.
Okay.
Night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good seeing you.
Have a good trip. Have a good trip to China.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good trip to China.
Thank
you.
you.
I'll see you before you leave.
I'll see you.
Yeah, I'll see you before you leave. You can put the chair over there. You can return the chair to where you found it, damn it. Yeah. So anyway, so she's going. Anybody want to come over and have a party while she's gone? You know. We can.
I'm going to be busy this weekend.
Do you know how pussy whipped I am? Let me explain something to you. She likes to come home at the end of a hard work day and find the bed made. So every day I make the bed. Okay? Good for me, right? Probably usually I get it done by, 11 o'clock in the morning. When she comes home, the bed is made. If I didn't make the bed, I'd have hell to pay, right? Why didn't you make the bed today? I work all day. Yeah, right? So I make the bed. Now she's going away for 4 days. And I don't have to make the bed. Guess what I'm going to wind up doing every day? Making the bed. Just so I don't feel guilty about it. So.
Well, you'll stay in the habit, too, because once you get it out of the habit, then you'll forget when she gets back.
Right. So, anyway, that's what I'm doing. Hello, Kevin.
Good evening.
Yeah, did you hear the speech today by Obama?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think? Good, huh?
It was refreshing.
Yeah, it was like it was like taking a shower, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Getting all that dirt and filth off of you that you've had to...
It was just like watching his last one when the... which one was the last one he did? Oh, it was the speech at the funeral, at McCain's funeral.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I kind of looked at, when they were shooting around the, around the church there. It was kind of like everybody was sitting around going, wow, he's back.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the Republicans were sitting there going, boy, this is kind of nice.
Do you think that he is kind of wants to do speeches again? That he really enjoys doing them?
Well, he's a good speaker.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of them between now and 2020.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he really speaks good.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of him up to the midterms. Then I don't think we'll see anything from him for a while, and then he'll be back in 2020 to support his party, you know.
Yeah.
But what I felt about that speech is that it was really all-inclusive. That's why I'm sorry that, well, part of me is sorry that Phil isn't here tonight, and part of me isn't, you know. But I can't see where, if he sees that speech, he can find anything wrong with it. I'm just trying to think, what could you find wrong with that? You know, none of it was saying, oh, we've got to do this, and we need more socialistic this and more of that. It was we've got to start being inclusive and starting to work with each other, you know. And
right there, that's what they could see wrong with it. That's because, you know, the underlying tone is they don't want inclusion. They want white America.
Well, that's true. That's
well,
true.
You saw what Trump said about her, right?
He basically fell asleep.
Yeah, he fell asleep.
He fell asleep?
That's just like, what a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, well, fell asleep. Why? He wasn't. He didn't even. I don't think he even got to hear the speech. He was busy.
No, he probably didn't. He just said that.
He just said that.
He was busy.
One of his rallies,
he was giving a speech of his own at a rally, and he was talking with Fox News while Obama was on. He was doing everything he could to upstage Obama, but somehow, unless you were probably watching Fox, nobody was upstaging Obama. You know, but he was trying his damnedest, going live.
I was watching the speech on Fox to see what they were going to do.
Oh, did they carry it? Did they carry it?
Oh yeah, they carried every bit of it.
Oh wow, well, that's good to hear.
I was pretty proud of them.
And did they have any commentary afterwards? You know.
You know what? I was because I was bouncing back and forth. I think I might have ended up on MSNBC because I like to see, you know, the different aspects of how they handle it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go over there because I was so enthralled by the speech that I didn't think to go over and take a look to see if Fox was carrying it.
How long did he speak for?
The only problem I have with the speech is that it was an hour long. That about 45 minutes I started kind of going, okay, now it's time to wrap it up. But I think he was just liking it too much, you know. These are the moments I think he lives for, and he was born for this, you know. Yeah. He's
wait a minute.
What
American Patriots saying some stuff on the chat there about him being decisive? Really, dude? All inclusive, his goal is to divide the country, rich versus poor, lib versus Republican, union versus non-union. What do you think Trump is doing, dude?
Who is this?
Holy shit. That's that American Patriot.
Bitter Barack Obama trashes 63 million Americans as paranoid, divisive, and resentful. That's not what I heard.
No.
That's not what I heard, but that's probably what American Patriot, who we all know is a Russian, invading this chat, our chat. You know, I mean, what? You really think that was the way the speech was presented? Are you out of your mind?
How can you turn that 180?
It's exactly the world we live in today. It's the world we live in.
What he was saying was, we've got to get away from this. You know, we've got to get away from this politics of, hey, you're a Republican, then I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. Or you're a Democrat, I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. Or you're black, you don't count. You know, we've got to stop all that.
What he wasn't saying.
Well, you know, somebody once had a saying, I can't remember what the saying was, but it was something like this. If we don't all work together, we're all going to burn together. You know,
I was on Jack's show one night back when Obama was still president, near the end, while this whole campaign was going on, and we got into this discussion about the whole thing of Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's names like that, and I said this then, and I stick by it. But I had no idea how it would be a hangover after Obama was gone. So I think names like that is a bad PR name, because we all know all lives matter, right? And I kept saying, look, I understand what they're trying to do, but the optic of the name Black Lives Matter, for all of those people who feel like that, is a rallying cry And now it's like you don't hear about that stuff anymore because we're going in the other direction. That's why I was against the name Black Lives Matter, not because I was against their cause, but I just think that is a rallying cry. And I think this is everything that we're going through now, to me, is like a hangover from what was going on during.
I remember you talking about that.
Well,
Rob.
I kind of felt the same way about Black Lives Matter. Yes, Black Lives Matter. So do white lives. So do Mexican lives. So do Mexican families. I mean, all lives matter, and all lives should be respected. I mean, I understand what they were saying because blacks in America were getting shot down like it was hunting season by cops, and so I understand the sentiment, but I think what it wasn't a sentiment of inclusion, and what your effect of what you were doing was you wanted people to take notice. Yes, Tom.
I would say, I feel the exact opposite. I think the problem was to say, "Oh, don't all lives matter." That waters down the message, and that's actually a rather liberal attitude. Unfortunately, I think the important thing is you have to be, in a way, pretty blunt and direct that Black Lives Matter, because it appears that in this society, Black lives have not mattered very much because because Black men are getting shot down by the police, unarmed. I'm just seeing something else coming up. Another guy,
Yeah, but Tom,
I mean, it's just happening. It just keeps happening. We have to confront it. We have to be blunt about it and use that blunt language.
Rob,
let me just finish with just one moment. And if we back away from it, I mean, it's sort of like with Colin Kaepernick. I mean, you're certainly going to lose people, but they're the people you've lost anyway. I mean, the important thing is that people understand how serious this is, and if we just sort of back off, the message is going to get lost.
Well, then again, I really have to say, and then we'll go to Rob because he had his hand up, that I'm going to respectfully kind of disagree with you, that I think that a lot of this hashtagging or sloganizing trivializes the thing and also puts it in a position where it becomes divisive rather than inclusive.
It can be abused.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm so sick of Me Too, I want to puke. Right. Now, the original sentiment behind it, fine. The fact was, though, they started applying it to everything. They didn't wait for their right shot to use it, and so I think we have a tendency to trivialize these things by sloganizing them. Does that make sense at all?
I worked in public relations, and to me, a name like Black Lives Matter, that needs to be your message. I don't think it needs to be the name of the group. And I think it needs to be more about what Obama was talking about in the speech today about inclusion and about bringing people together. To me, it's just as bad as the other side when it's like I'm putting my stake here, you're putting your stake 180 degrees opposite with a statement like that. And to me, that's going to turn off more people than it's going to, than it's going to help. You can get the message across without having to name something so stark, so 180 degree opposite. It doesn't sell well, especially we have such a history of racism in this country. You're going to lose a big percentage of people because
maybe name it something else and use that as a mission statement.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I just
I see both sides, but
I do too. But I've been in public relations. And,
I get what you're saying.
I understand
it's important.
I understand what you're saying when you say Black Lives Matter, and I sympathize with what you're trying to say. However, you're leaving me out. You're not including me in this. You want everybody. You don't want a whole bunch of black people to go around going, Black Lives Matter. How about you, white guy? Well,
How about you, Latino?
How about you, Latino? Exactly. You know, I mean,
I mean, think about it from the gay perspective. You've got LGBTQ. They're adding letters all the time to this.
They keep adding and they keep adding. Yeah,
it's the same kind of thing. It's not just gay and lesbian anymore. It's inclusive of everybody in an alternative lifestyle.
And you know what the Q is for? Is queer, which is, I don't know. I think at one point in time it was a derogatory term.
Well, actually, it's the nice thing about the word queer is, or the name queer, it's not really necessarily derogatory or affirmative. It just means different, and that's why a lot of people are reclaiming the word queer, because it just means different. In fact, you can eliminate all those letters if people say,
"Well, yeah."
Let's just say, "Oh, screw it all. I'm just queer."
Yeah.
First,
I mean,
I told you the one of my favorite Paul Krasner jokes is he was doing a show with Tom Amiano, and the club owner asked Krasner if they were both gay, and he says, "No, Tom Amiano is gay, and I'm queer."
Yeah, from somebody like me, from the not necessarily from that type of group, I feel like I'm maybe not being polite saying queer.
Yeah, I agree.
Someone is queer. You know what I mean? I would feel uncomfortable using that in a group, and I have no.
Well, nobody
being gay at all, but I would feel uncomfortable using that term.
I understand what gay is. I understand what lesbian is. I understand what transsexual is. Am I leaving one out here?
Bisexual.
Huh? Oh, bisexual. I understand that one. Okay. But queer is just too...
That's old-fashioned in the first place.
It's old-fashioned is what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
what
could be used in
what
a
the term
derogatory
what the
use
term
bag too, or
what the
whatever.
term
That's the whole thing.
encompasses is all the other four. So why don't you just call it Q and leave it at that? You know.
And I'm not a PC person. I don't believe in all this PC stuff. I really don't. I find ethnic humor funny. I always did. I don't care. I'm Italian. My family's all in the mafia. I don't care what you say. I mean, it doesn't bother me.
I'm a mix.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, but I just think Black Lives Matter is just, and it isn't just about the name or the word black or whatever. It's about lives matter because. Yeah, it's not true.
Well,
I think the funniest thing is being called a cracker.
Well, let's yes, Tom.
Yeah, I was just saying that getting back to your earlier point, I certainly don't feel left out by not being included in Black Lives Matter. I feel, if that civil rights, if one segment of the population is not getting its full civil rights, we all suffer from it. Right. And so I'm very much. In favor of saying, hey, that's my struggle as much as it is anybody's. And as far as queer goes, I mean, just if somebody wants to identify queer, then it's okay.
But if somebody called you queer,
let that person tell you how they feel, just like pronouns. You could ask, what pronouns do you want to use? So more and more people who are not identifying as either male or female are using the plural pronouns. They, them, their.
Here's another one. How about Oriental? Why did that was the name that people, when I was a kid, you would say, oh, that he's the Oriental guy over there. You can't say that anymore, right?
Yeah.
That's person from the Orient.
And by the way, the term is not derogatory in any way, shape, or form.
I don't think it is, but yet that's like, when you hear someone say it,
I think one of the reasons it's changed is that area of the world now used to be called the Orient.
Right.
It's not any longer. It's called Asia. Mm-hmm. So to call somebody Asian is probably more proper given today's vernacular. Right?
It also encompasses, like, the Middle East,
and by the way,
where Oriental rugs come from? They come from the Middle East, don't they?
Yeah.
Weren't they originally?
Yeah.
That's true.
So probably meant exotic is what it meant.
We're too hung up on names and stuff.
Yep.
But in my mind, when you say Black Lives Matter, right away you alienate too many people, and it's a fire.
Well, the guy who was the guy who was renting us this place when he shouldn't have been, he came up for a drink. Usually once a year, we have him come up for a drink, and we just talk a little bit. And we were talking about race and so on, and I wanted to mention that I was talking about people of color. Okay, that I didn't want to make the distinction between black, Hispanic, whatever, but just people who are a different shade than anybody else, than the white people, and the problems that they face, blah, 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 blah. And so I don't know if I used the term colored, but I said people of color. He said, well, we're not colored. He got very offensive, and I said, that wasn't what I said. I wasn't referring to colored people, although if I were to talk,
an organization.
If I was, the National Association of
the Advancement
of Colored People, which to this day they call the same thing. They never changed it, But it was not. I didn't feel that I was doing anything wrong, because what I was trying to do was I was trying to exclude someone from thinking that what I was talking about was just black people, okay? But that I was talking about all people of color.
Right.
And what would those be? Those would be colored people, right?
So you have to say other than white.
How do you
get out of that one?
Well, what do I do? Do I go? And so the black people, Hispanic people, the blah, blah, blah people. I mean,
you got to go through the whole list or what?
What's the shorthand?
All right, so you have an LGBT. Maybe we need B. Well,
Listen,
I don't know how you would do that.
My way of thinking about it, from what I remember of the term queer when I was growing up, because I got called it a lot. Okay, what I queer or something? Is that it really is all those things. It's gay, bisexual, lesbian, transsexual, right? So why not just call them queer and leave it at that? The Q community.
You can get past the derogatory use that it, like you said, when you were a kid, you weren't called queer because they were being nice to you. They were making fun of you.
Oh, they were trying to say that I was less than masculine,
right,
in my behavior. And because my father was a musician and he took me to the symphony and the ballet. Yeah. So what are you, queer or something? Yeah. That was always the thing they would say to you. Queer or something? Yeah, he's a queer. Are you queer? They didn't even know what a homosexual was, but they were calling me queer. Hell, I didn't even know what a homosexual was. Well, I did, actually. Because my parents had these two friends who used to come over all the time. You know the story, Tom. I've told it a dozen times. He used to come over, and it was the first time that I was ever made aware that there were people who were gay. And I said, gee, they were always coming over together. Are they good friends? My father says, a little more than that. Because my father never pulled, but my father wanted to educate me. And he said, a little more than that. I said, why? He said, well, they're like your mother and father. And I said, they love each other? He says, yeah. And I said, oh, okay. And so every time they came over, I mean, I just assumed these were a couple like my mother and father. And probably argued all the time. Anyway, but that was how I felt about. That's when I first realized there were gay people, and then I don't know I guess they just used the term homosexual at the time. But nobody ever said, "Hey, what are you, homosexual or something?" No. Yes, Tom. By the way, Tom, what are you, homosexual or something?
What's that?
Oh, I said, what are you, homosexual or something?
The first time I heard the word homosexual was on the talk shows, the talk radio in L.A. that my mother used to listen to. And it was like, it was like homosexuals and communists. And it's like, it was like, these, these horrible, disgusting creatures, and So that's the first I heard, and then when I started figuring out they were talking to about people like me, it was not a very positive thing to reinforcement, I could say.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. But
well, they've all started with bad connotations and then worked their way into acceptable connotations.
Yeah.
They've all started in the bad side and then, worked to be an acceptable.
Our president, by the way, I mean, I hate to bring him up again, but hell, why not? Really seems to be going off the rails now about this New York Times thing.
You noticed?
I mean,
how do you blame him, really? It is a betrayal from people that he supposedly trusts, his inner sanctum, his cabinet and all that. So I don't blame him for that. I understand. I mean, I wish this guy would come forward and sign his name to it. I think it would be he'd be a patriot. But I don't blame the president for being upset. It's the one thing I don't blame him for being upset about, quite frankly.
Yeah. Well, by the way, we've been joined by our good friend Patrick. Hello, Patrick.
Hola.
Yeah. Anyway, no, what I want to say is, yes, there is somebody in his midst, and this is, I think, driving him a little batty, because today he asked Jeff Sessions to investigate and find out, to ferret out this traitor in their midst. He called him a traitor. Mm-hmm. This was he almost likened this to a breach of what's the word I'm looking at, of safety or whatever. That this was.
Yeah, he called it treason.
He called it treason. Now, what that guy wrote was not even close, remotely close to treason. Mm-hmm. But man, this was treasonous so far as he was concerned. And I went, what? And then he wants Sessions to go out and find out who it was and to find him. He is nuts trying to figure out who did that.
He wants a KGB is what he wants.
What if he planted it?
Well, he's been known to phone up his other people.
What if he went in the back room and said, hey, plant this thing, put this thing out, let's drive them all crazy. Let's see what we can do with the media and drive them all crazy. I wouldn't put it past him.
Hey, Patrick.
Hello.
Hello there. How are you?
Very well.
Did you see the Obama speech today?
I watched Obama just like I watched Trump. I don't give a shit. Why did he speak?
I knew that was going to be his answer.
Yeah, why did he speak today?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Who fucking cares? What would he have? There's no graduations or anything.
Yes, it was. This was actually a thing at a school where they were giving him an award, and so he gave a speech.
Oh, okay. Well, good for him.
Don't you feel happy? He has another little trophy on his mantelpiece?
Sure, it'll be one of many, just like former President Clinton.
Well, I actually wish you had heard it. You didn't hear it, right?
What could he have said that would be so magical? He hasn't been president in 2 fucking years. He's got nothing to offer any more than any other former president.
Well, I tend to disagree. If you heard the speech, the reason I would like your opinion of it is it was a very interesting speech in the context of partisan politics, because I didn't find it terribly partisan. I found it, again, we were talking about inclusion and including people, a desire to make things inclusive. Did you hear it, Ray?
I sure did.
Yeah? What'd you think?
It was just so wonderful to hear. He's not president. I wish he was, but some intelligence speaking about the state of things right now.
Well, it was nice to have an adult in the room, is how I felt.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was objective, and I don't know how you could argue with anything he said.
Yeah. Yes, Tom.
Well, just to answer Patrick's question, and once again, Patrick, I don't know if you had heard earlier, but I have not actually heard the whole speech yet. I intend to do that, but the parts I've heard, I really, really thoroughly agree with. Basically, it's a call to action, just laying out that our democracy is under a great threat right now, and we can't normalize this situation, and how imperative it is for us to vote. And that message needs to come clear, because if getting back to what we were just talking about a little earlier about this situation, this anonymous op-ed in the New York Times, I don't know what the motivation of this person was, what they were actually thinking they were trying to accomplish. But it's sort of ironic that they would be saying, well, we talked about the 25th Amendment, but we decided it was, it was something that we didn't want to get, a mess. And yet, at the same time, what they've done is created an even bigger mess and a bigger constitutional crisis. I don't know how we can emphasize the crisis that our democracy is in right now. And I'm happy that Obama's speaking out about it.
He also pointed out that we've been through many crises like this before, and things have worked out. It's happened to us many times in our history.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
America's stronger than any idiot in the office, I think.
Well, what he said is that when you're president, you realize that you're there for only a short time, and
that's how he opened up.
Yeah, and that when it's over, you pass it on to the next people, and hope that they will put their spin on it. Okay. But that you are that the presidency was conceived as only a two-year term, a two-term presidency, because no one should have a lock on that job. And basically, he was saying that when you leave it, you don't say, "Hey, it was mine." No, it was given to you. It was a trust given to you. You take it. You run with it, you do the best you can possibly do, and then when it's over with, you back off. I mean, he mentioned, Patrick, he said, why do I want to hear from a guy who has been president in 2 years? He brought up that very thing, saying that normally presidents don't get into the political fray afterwards because it was kind of set up by Washington. When you're through, you go home to Mount Vernon and you retire, right? Or you go into some other thing, or you go to somewhere else, and you don't talk about the current administration. You don't say, well, if I was in office, here's how I would have done it. You let the new person do what they do, and it's always been kind of an unwritten rule that you didn't talk about it. But he said, basically, it's impossible not to under these circumstances. Both hands went up at the same time, so I'll give it to Patrick first.
I wouldn't have known it was a speech about that at all anyway. It wouldn't have mattered. I mean, if it would have come on and said he was getting an award, I would have turned it off immediately anyway, and I don't give a shit. So whatever the content of the speech was, may be worth a listen, but the fact that he was getting an award would have been even more reason that if I saw it pop up on the television for me to turn it off. What do I care?
Well, it was a well-crafted speech, delivered expertly. I mean, if we want to just... What? What were you going to say, Ray?
What did the speech have anything to do with an award? I didn't hear him talk about
he was there to pick up an award. And
so what?
As a result of it, he then gave a speech.
Really.
I didn't either. I mean, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, well, that was the purpose. It was the Paul Douglas Award, I think it was called.
That's what I was saying, Ray.
Oh, okay.
If I would have seen that he was somewhere getting an award, I wouldn't have listened to it. I have no interest in what he had to say anymore. Trump's rallies was my point when I came on earlier. Is that because Alex asked if I saw it, and I said, No, just like I didn't want the Montana deal with Trump. I don't give a shit. I mean, whatever.
No, I understand that. I understand that. All I'm saying is that sometimes things are just interesting by the virtue of how well they're done, crafted, written, what the person had to say. You know, and I think that you would listen to it. I honestly believe this. If you sat down and listened to it, you'd probably go, not bad. You know, nothing. I don't think you would find much to get pissed off about. Now, we got this guy, American Patriot. American Patriot, stop fucking writing. You are literally monopolizing the board. Look, American Patriot, American Patriot, Mike Allen, American Patriot, American Patriot, American Patriot, American Patriot. Hey, American Patriot, you're a fucking coward. Call this program. Okay? Yeah. In fact, call this program in the next 5 minutes or I'll block you. How's that? Okay? Because you're literally messing up the chat board there. Yes, Ray.
Yeah. One of the things I really liked, and probably liked more than anything that Obama said, was that since 2010, the Republican Party has vowed to completely try to stonewall anything that the Democrats want to do, even if it were things that they themselves believed in.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really important thing for him to say, because no one these days ever says that. And it's the truth. And he had to overcome that the entire time he was president. And it affected the Affordable Care Act. And that's why we have the mess that we have with the Affordable Care Act. Yeah. Because of that.
Wait a minute.
That's all I wanted to say.
American Patriot just wrote, everyone is free to post. No. And I'm going to put a big no. It's my. Let me see here. I'm having trouble. Let me put on my glasses before I type.
It's your channel.
It's my chat room and channel.
While he's doing that, Patrick, you've been saying you don't give a shit about this. You know, let me ask you a question about your opinion regarding what I believe is going on with the Republican Party right now. I think what they're doing is very short-sighted. The Republicans who are in power right now are willing to sacrifice values, the religious right. They're willing to overlook so much of what this man is doing for the end game. For the end game of getting another conservative on the Supreme Court, and for passing tax cuts, and for doing this, and for doing that, and they're being extremely short-sighted about what they're doing to the country because the end game is all that they really care about. Do you see that at all? Do you see? And isn't that important?
I think I made it clear when Trump became the nominee that I no longer consider myself a Republican.
Yeah.
All right, but they're in.
Yeah. I mean, he's not coming out of a space of loving Trump.
I know he doesn't.
It's not like Phil might not listen to it because he likes Trump. It's just that Patrick, I think he, as a Republican, he's dismayed by his own party. I mean, he's dismayed by what's going on. What was that went on behind you there?
My wife just walked out with our cat. I'm just like wondering
That's what it looked like. Look, I was going to say, hey, somebody's stealing your cat.
Yeah.
Yes, Tom.
Well, just being disgusted with the Republican Party, unfortunately, is not enough. Given that we do have a two-party system, we have to choose, and it's not enough to say I'm not a Republican. We have to, in a situation where we need to choose the Democratic Party. Because that's the only way we're going to get.
But you know, that Tom. Excuse me, I didn't mean to call you Phil. I'm sorry. That's wrong, because there was a time in my life where you voted for the guy because of what he was saying, not because of the party he was affiliated with. And now you do vote for the party. You don't vote for the guy. And I think that's kind of wrong. I mean, I wish we weren't at that. That's exactly what Obama was talking about today. That, we discount.
I don't think so. And it gets back to what Rob was saying. basically, and it gets back, confirmed in this anonymous op-ed. What was the guy say, or he or she, whatever last person was saying, that, well, we got our tax cut, we got our judges, we got our deregulation, and that's why we're just going to go ahead and just let him, just go whatever he wants as far as what he has to say, and we'll just ignore him. And the same complicity in Congress for the Republicans in Congress. We're never going to get any kind of accountability from Donald Trump until we change the entire power structure in Washington. And the only way to do that is to kick the Republicans out and put the Democrats in. We don't have any other realistic option.
It's very different from the Republican Party that was in power during Nixon.
Obama said in that speech that Trump wasn't the cause. He was the, what was the word?
Right.
He
was a symptom of
he
the
was the
problem.
symptom.
The symptom.
Yeah. That the cause is divisiveness we've created in the country.
It's proving now that it's extending beyond Trump. It extends to his enablers within his own White House.
Right.
That recognize that he is mentally ill, that he should be removed from office, and they are not lifting a finger to do that.
Well, what are you going to do short of assassination? I mean,
vote him out. There's the 25th Amendment. There's the
never going to
impeachment
happen.
process. We have legal tools to remove a president.
Never
but
happened.
Unfortunately, to do that, we have to remove the enablers through the election.
25th Amendment requires a majority vote in Congress and 2/3 of the Senate.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yes, Patrick.
And
yeah.
You have to have the cabinet members bring
Right.
it up. And the thing is, the Democrats aren't in power, and neither is the Green Party, and neither is the Libertarians or anything else. So this is where you're at, and this is where we're at. And I did want to say one thing about that op-ed. I had heard it was today, it was on, I think it was NBC Radio or something, where the editor of the New York Times, who vetted the anonymous writer, that it was, they had to vet that person even worked in the White House. So that's how low level this person is, that it wasn't even somebody that the editor would have recognized by name, like Pence or Kellyanne Conway. So I think this even speaks further to what I was saying the other night, that this is somebody that just, as you would put it, Alex, tickling your balls. So that
yeah. But do you think that maybe the New York Times guy was kind of throwing people off by putting it that way?
Well, if he is, it's the same thing as what I said. You think Anonymous is saying the dog whistle word just to get the left to think that there's somebody in there too. I mean,
well, you see, he's not exactly anonymous. I mean, they know who he is at the New York Times, so he's not exactly anonymous. They have just maintained his anonymity publicly for his own safety, or the safety of his job, or whatever. I don't know why he wants to keep that job if he's so unhappy with it.
Well,
I mean, even Obama today in the speech, you would have liked this, Patrick, kind of put the guy down, saying, here you come along and you say all these things to tell us about what's wrong, and yet you're helping to aid the problem. That you're saying that, there's 90% of the stuff we do is terrific, but the other 10% the guy is crazy. But what you're doing is you're allowing him to do that 10%. You're a party to this charade.
Yeah, he called him out.
So he called him out. He called him out. He said, yes, Jeff.
He needs to sign his name to it or not do it.
Yeah. Yes, Jeff.
Well, I look at this a little bit differently. I think that whoever wrote this New York Times article. I think that he knew what all those issues were already. This is nothing that's a surprise. This is something that's been working with Trump for the last couple of years.
Right.
And I think that also that these people are he is working with a bunch of other people who work for Trump together.
Yeah.
With Trump and without Trump. And I think a lot of those people, when you get this job, you have to tell everybody, oh man, I got a job working for Trump. And everybody goes, wow, that is cool. That's terrific. And everybody wants to say, this is a great job I got. And I'm going to do the best thing. And I'm going to accomplish all these great things. Now, you look 2 years from now, and Trump, who everybody thought, well, he's probably going to work out fine. He's turned out to be the asshole that I'll say Alex and I, New Yorkers, know what a jerk he is. Because he's been that way his
But
whole life.
I'm sure you're like I was, Jeff. There was part of me that was hoping he would be successful and that he would do right. That he would surprise us by his ability and his judgment. And, nobody was hoping for him to be a failure or to go crazy or to go nuts. The last thing we need in the White House is somebody who's fucking crazy. Although you got to be fucking crazy to want that job, but that's another story altogether.
Anyway, I think that happened. And now this guy is in that position where he's got a bunch of other people and he's trying to convince them, what are we gonna do about it? And the one thing he did is it made it public information.
Yeah. Maybe he was hoping that other people would open up.
Well, that's right, but that hasn't.
But we have, and then we'll get to you, Rob, because I saw you had your hand up. We've had in the last couple of weeks 3 really rather damning situations. Number one was the Omarosa book. Okay, no matter what you think of her, it was still revealing on a lot of levels. There was the Woodward book. Okay, and now there's this op-ed piece. It's really a triple whammy.
Well, the funeral also.
And all of them, you could say any one of them were lying, but all of them seem to corroborate each other.
And that's what I was going to say about the Woodward book. Woodward is well respected as a journalist. This guy, and we have Trump's own words in the phone call that he had with Woodward when he told him that he tried to get a hold of him. He said, "You've always been fair. I would have talked to you." Well, whatever. But I mean, he would have talked to. He said that he's been fair. So we know this guy is a respected journalist, and he talked to all these people off the record around Trump. And one of the things that was brought out was that he just wanted to pull all the troops out of South Korea, not understanding the ramifications of that. I mean, that's just, how do you have a guy, the chief executive of the United States, who is in charge of our military, in charge of military policy, who doesn't have a grasp of what he's doing? Forget about his character, just his understanding. He makes decisions without completely understanding what he's doing.
Yes, Patrick.
That's why I'm not as concerned as some people have been on the panel or may still be, because he got some people within his cabinet that are sharp enough, that know these things, like Mattis and, Kelly, and that will tell him no.
But if he could order them, and then what? Do you disobey the president?
Mattis already has.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hope that continues.
Well, it will, because the thing that I've noticed with Trump is when he, like the few rallies that I've seen where he's kind of gone off the rails and, just done his thing, he's like a cat. You know, you throw a shiny object. So if he's intent on pulling troops out of Korea today, if you're mad at, you say, okay, we'll look into that, Mr. President, and then somebody else can throw a ball, and then he'll go after that. And, you know, and it's the same with the media, with his tweets. I mean, he gets the same game played within the White House, and he played the same game with the media. He'll say one thing, the media will chase it, then he'll switch gears, then the media chases that. I mean, when's the last time anybody's heard about these caged children that are at the border? You know why you haven't? Because the media is not interested. They're interested in the gotcha shit that doesn't exist or that's going to take a while to get there. If they would just focus on certain things, they would accomplish more. And it's just like with him. I mean, he wants to pull troops out of South Korea. All somebody needs to do is throw a ball to the other end of the West Wing, and he goes chases that, and then everything's fine.
But that's scary, right? That's the guy who's the president.
It is, but at the same time, if that's the situation we have, at least there are people that know enough to throw a fucking ball to get him off of that topic.
Okay, let me. But hands are still up. Let's see here. Who was first? Who was
We're not
first?
finished.
Tom, then Jeff.
Okay, so let me address this adult in the room argument, which actually is one of the speculations about what the intent of the letter was. It's, oh, don't worry, we're not going to let him blow up the world. We're the adults in the room, and that argument is just not cutting it. I mean, it's basically to assure people to Republicans that have been bailing to keep them on board for the November elections. But yeah, as I said earlier, I mean, they're actually creating a worse crisis by doing exactly this. By basically, it's a coup. An unelected government is in control of the White House. These are people that have no accountability to us, and we're expected to say, "Oh, that's a good idea because Trump is nuts." No, I'm not taking that.
Yeah, you see what he means by unelected? It's the cabinet that's trying to keep him on track. It's not, the president who was elected.
At the end of the day, if something goes wrong, they can blame him.
Well, if some of these reports are true, there are a couple of things we can assume. This president thinks he can kill anybody he wants to. Yeah. That was one of the revelations that came out in the last week. He feels he can silence the press. Mm-hmm. That's not something you do. I mean, you may not like what the press has to say about you. Hell, I've hated what the press has had to say about me over the years. I got to the point where I wouldn't buy the Sunday Chronicle because I didn't want to read Ben Fong Torres's column, because he was always smashing me for something, and I stopped reading the Chronicle on Sundays. But nevertheless, they have a right to say anything they want to about you. You're president of the United States, and you have no right to try and intimidate them. Because a free press, whether it's good or bad. Let's for a moment kind of jump over to a slightly different topic, but the same topic. What's his name? Jones. Alex Jones. How can I not remember the first name? Alex Jones, who I absolutely find despicable. All right? I have absolutely no respect for the man. I think the man is irresponsible. I think he's in it for the money. Okay? All those things. And yet, I think it's fucked that Facebook, Twitter, and now somebody else YouTube took him off, and there was a new one that took him off today.
This is overreaction to...
I think he has every right to be part of the discussion, even if he's full of shit. Am I wrong?
I think so.
Why?
I agree with you, Alex.
I think so because because it gets into what you used to talk about enabling people. This man has caused, he's really caused a lot of harm, mental anguish to the people I keep forgetting the school up in Connecticut, Stony, the school up in, it's like, say it was all invented, it was a false flag. This guy, nobody owes him a platform. This has nothing to do with his protected free speech. Wow. He can get out anywhere he wants. I mean, he can have his own network, which he does, but nobody owes him their platform. I mean, you don't have to give him a platform any more than you have to give American Patriot.
No, but then again, I open this. This is my platform, and I open it to other people to give me their opinions. And if somebody was entirely disruptive on this program, I would get rid of them. I've done that. But what we're talking about is something like Facebook or Twitter that takes on all comers and says, "Come on, say whatever you want to say," and then when you say what you want to say, I say he's irresponsible, and I say that's every reason to keep him off these platforms.
Right.
But who am I to make that decision?
If you own the platform, you have the right.
Yeah, and they have terms of service. You create specific terms of service, and if people don't abide them, you can kick them off.
Yeah, but the terms of service are kind of like. Well, what can I do that would get me kicked off Facebook? Well, do it and we'll let you know.
But the media has always acted, you had licenses to worry about, you always acted responsibility because you had this platform. Today with the internet, there isn't any of that, and that causes a guy like Alex Jones to have a much bigger platform than he would in the before the internet and before all this social media. So you need to change the rules a little bit to allow for this platform that anybody can have.
Well, I just think that, I know what you were saying, Tom, because I always said that I felt the main responsibility I had was to do no harm to my audience or not put them in harm's way. That I could do anything I wanted to, but I didn't want to do that or give somebody a sense of permission, which, by the way, Trump does every day.
Right. Okay.
I find giving a sense of permission is wrong, too, and I never wanted to be accused of that. And so, what can I say? I always felt that way. But I also, at the same time, put myself in the position that I say what I want to say here, and Alex Jones should not have these people pull the rug out from under him. They don't like what he has to say. They consider what he says irresponsible. The whole thing with the students in Connecticut and all of that. The only thing it did was bring harm to the people who heard Jones's message. There was, I don't think any other repercussions of that. But Jones is a terrible, horrible, ugly, disgusting, vile person. I even felt sorry for Marco Rubio the other day when he cornered him in the halls of Congress when they were having the Facebook hearings. Well, what a creep. But nevertheless, if I had an open forum, I'd give him the right to talk. I also have the right to disagree with him. But that's just me because I'm in this business where I face censorship all the time, and I just what I love about the internet is there is no censorship.
It's the double-edged sword, though.
Yeah, it is a double-edged sword. But if you believe in the internet as a place of freedom of speech, then you have to take the good with the bad. And the bad is obviously the ugliest is Alex Jones. So
then I guess the answer would be to open up a Twitter-type site and have it be open and free.
And that may happen.
Yeah.
Ray, you said you agreed with me.
Call it open space.
Yeah. Well, I just think that we shouldn't let go of our freedom of speech, the right to freedom of speech so easily. But on the other hand, they do have terms of service, and they are for-profit companies. And I can see where they would have the right also to enforce their terms of service in order to keep their profits where they need to be. I mean, it's a difficult situation.
So freedom of speech is dependent
upon
upon
their freedom of speech because you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire.
I know.
You don't have freedom of speech. You have to be responsible.
Well, you have, and there are offsetting circumstances for freedom of speech, and that's where it's not
but wait a
clear.
minute. Let me say this. Alex Jones would probably say to you, Rob, yes, you don't have a right to yell fire in a crowded theater unless there's a fire.
Right. If there's a fire.
So he feels he's yelling fire in a crowded theater because there's a fire.
Where's the proof on anything? And Trump's, we were going to see the proof in a couple of weeks about Obama, bugging his phones and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
There's been no credible evidence to any of this, and so it becomes irresponsible to let somebody go on like that without coming out and saying, "Here it is."
Do you remember a few weeks ago when I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
When Alex Jones himself even said, "I don't really believe these things. It's for entertainment purposes." Someone was about to sue him.
His ex-wife was suing him.
Yes.
And he said, "Well, that's just the character I play on the air."
And I think that's the truth. Like you said, he's just trying to make money. And then the other thing I get confused about is Rush Limbaugh used to incite this kind of emotion too. And all I ever heard from radio personalities, and Alex, I don't even know, maybe you were one of the ones. They used to say, I don't agree with Rush Limbaugh, but I have tremendous respect for him as a broadcaster because many of us are here because of him.
I said that.
And he was an asshole.
Well,
then be a satirist.
But he was
a satirist, and don't and have it be, and don't.
Okay.
Don't come across as being somebody who's
let me put this in context, okay? You ever hear of Stepin Fetchit?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was a comedian who came up with a character. It was very pervasive, black character, shuffled. I'm moving as fast as I can, boss. That kind of thing. And as years went on, he was accused of creating a stereotype of the black man in America. But that was just a comedy act he did, and he did it very well, and he was very talented at what he did. And the people who actually enforced the stereotype were people like Willie Best and Mantan Moreland, who came along and tried to capitalize on that act. If the only person doing it had been Stepin Fetchit, then I guess he wouldn't have created a stereotype. All right? The same thing is true with Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh, if he existed on his own and hadn't spawned all these other people and a whole business of right-wing talk show hosts, would have been looked at as a very good broadcaster who you happen to disagree with. So that's why I think he was the first one there, and everybody else was just trying to top him. And
it wound up becoming it wound up becoming all this character that he plays, sort of like what Colbert was, right? At one point, it winds up becoming the truth to people.
Well, it's kind of like, am I saying? Did I just come out and say that Rush Limbaugh was the Stepin Fetchit of right-wing talk show hosts?
Yeah, you did.
It's about what I said. Yeah. I mean, I always felt that he was very talented. I listened to Rush. I disagree with him, but boy, I'm really enjoying this. He really is a great communicator. He really, and the reason a lot of people perceived him as dangerous is because he was very good at what he did. I mean, I can listen to people as a broadcaster, I can listen to another broadcaster who I disagree with completely and say he's good at what he does. Like, for instance, what's his name? Glenn Beck, who has a channel. Every now and then I sit there and watch him because it's kind of mesmerizing. He's very good at what he does. And yet I don't have to agree with him. I don't even have to say you should listen to him. But as one broadcaster listening to another now I listen to Alex Jones and I say this is the worst broadcaster I ever heard in my life. The only thing that put him across was his raspy voice and his asshole ideas. Yes, Patrick.
I listened to Glenn Beck, I would say in the mid 2000, maybe 2005, 6, 7, something like that. And it got to the point where I couldn't deal with him because he was almost like an Alex Jones sort of personality.
Yeah.
And then around 2015, I had read something about him talking about Trump. So I got interested because there weren't many people talking about Trump negatively, because everywhere on television, you had Trump everywhere and it was funny here or there or whatever.
Yeah.
So I started listening to Beck, and I still occasionally listen to Beck because during 16 and 17, he was very critical of Trump and what his ideas were and how he acted. And I thought him to be a very fair observer.
Yeah,
of Trump.
I think that the Glenn Beck you didn't like was the old Glenn Beck. This Glenn Beck, I believe there was a place around maybe 13, 14, where Glenn Beck said, "I really feel guilty for a lot of the things I've said and done." He actually admitted that, and then at that point, he started to change. And it's not that he isn't still right wing, but his whole presentation is far more reasonable than it used to be. And so I can sit, huh? Who said
right wing is fine. Right wing, left wing, that's all fine if it's based in fact. When satire becomes the news, and we have people who are in satire who are preaching to people and they're taking it seriously, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
My question, here's a question to bring up to this crowd is, and I think it's a fair question, has the American public lost their grasp on what is reality and what isn't reality? Because of the kind of television we're fed, the fact that the news channels all try and gin up everything. I mean, what's the reality anymore? The fact is, we just elected a reality show host. Okay, and those people voted for him not based on what he is, but on what he was on television. That well-lit executive sitting in the conference room, saying you're fired and you aren't fired. You get what I'm saying? That they bought the unreality about it all.
Too many lines blurred.
Exactly. Being joined by our dear friend Brian Ludwig. Hello, Brian. Are you there, Brian? Can you hear us? We can't hear you. Got to turn your mics on somewhere. Oh well. When you get it working, yell and shout. But do we have a reality gap here where suddenly we're simply? I mean, somebody said that I was watching like TMZ, and somebody said, Kim Kardashian should run for president. Can you hear me? Oh. Yes, we can hear you.
Right. She said she might.
She said she might. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
And Cardi B said I'd run for vice president with her. Boy, this world is really getting crazy, Yes, Brian.
I only dropped in the last few seconds, but I kind of have an idea of what you're getting at and what you're talking about, or at least I have something that dovetails with what you're talking about. That being that there is more than one group of people, there are a bunch of people, myself included, who thinks that this is an era that marks the end of the career. I used to be a public service or service agent, or I used to be a mayor, I used to be governor, era of presidential candidate. It is now who's the bigger celebrity, who's got the biggest, most flashiest cock or set of tits.
Well, years ago, when a movie star went into politics, they said, at least we finally have a senator who can sing and dance. That was George Murphy. That's the first time I ever remember.
Regarding Reagan?
No, it was before that.
Oh, way before.
Yeah. George Murphy, tap danced with Shirley Temple, but he became a senator from the state of California. And that was the first time that anybody even considered people who were in show business to get into politics. And then you had Ronald Reagan. And now it's starting to happen more and more often. And Trump is the end game of this whole damn deal.
Yeah,
we don't know that he's. We don't know.
We thought George W. Bush was the end game of idiotic, aloof presidents, and look, 2 administrations later after. So don't say we've reached rock bottom. There's always a trap door.
Yeah. George Bush was a very intelligent man, very high IQ. I didn't agree with his politics, but he was still somebody who at least was a politician who, was government person, not all these popularity contest sideshow people like a Trump.
Well, but is that what you've got to be in order to win these days? Do people suddenly look and blur the line between reality TV and the election? After all, don't we have the debates? Isn't that some kind of American Idol of sorts? America's Got Talent.
You could write regarding what Mr. Alfano, by the way, and nice to see you again, said. You could write a 500-page. The man George W. Bush could have written a 500-page doctoral thesis on theological studies. When he gets behind a camera and can't put 2 words together, or when his colleagues are afraid of what he'll say or not say, or bumble up what he's trying to say behind a camera, it looks to me like he's a fucking idiot.
Well, my question to you is, you're talking about the elder Bush, right?
Oh, I'm talking Junior.
Junior?
Alfano, were you referring to HW or W?
No, I was talking about W. He's a smart man. He just wasn't great. When he spoke, he wasn't a great speaker, but he's still an intelligent man. I'm not a big fan of people who hear Jesus Christ say to them, "This is what I need to do." That's scary. But past that, I mean, he's no idiot.
You're talking about Daddy Bush, right?
No.
You're talking about W.
43.
I didn't find him that intelligent, but yeah.
High IQ. If you look, I just saw a listing of the most intelligent presidents, and he's right up there. Where
was Trump on that list?
They wouldn't say. Trump says Trump, the only thing in the article says is Trump saying he's got the highest IQ of any president, which of course you'd expect him to say.
Yeah.
But they listed the presidents in order of their IQ.
Yeah.
And W's got an IQ. He's up there. He's 138 to 140 somewhere.
Do you remember who was on top?
I don't remember.
Probably.
High IQ doesn't really mean a lot because Jimmy Carter, one of the highest IQ presidents, wasn't very successful.
Right. Yeah, it has nothing to do with doing a good job.
Yeah.
Yes, Tom.
Wait
a minute.
Actually, I think Ray was first.
Ray?
Yeah. Well, as far as IQ goes, the person with the highest IQ in the United States right now is a second-grade teacher, just FYI. But, yeah. Bush, excuse me, if you hear him talk now, when he's interviewed, he sounds pretty damn smart. I think he was under a lot of pressure when he was president, and he was exhausted, and he was also bumbled around, and now he sounds he's very coherent, very thoughtful. I'm impressed when I hear him.
He was also handled and managed a lot too.
Yeah,
I think we're also looking at it through the Trump prism a little bit too.
Yeah, and also I wanted to say, Alex, about the reality TV thing. It is so true. I have family members, I won't say who they are, but the only thing they listen to is KSFO and Fox News. And that is their reality. And when I bring up this other stuff, they don't even know what I'm talking about. Their reality is what they hear on Fox News and KSFO. And that's scary.
Yeah.
That's real, and there are a lot of people like that.
Tom?
Yeah, just to continue what Ray was saying about George W. Bush. My impression of Bush was he was very uncomfortable in formal situations while he was president. He was most when he was in informal situations, especially on small groups or one-on-one. he was very, very comfortable and good conversation. And I always heard that one of his great skills, probably his best skill, was raising money. That's how he was actually successful as a president, because he could get on the phone and raise tons of money. He's a lot of these very, very affable, very nice, very charming people in these informal situations. And nowadays, it's beyond just celebrity. It's who can raise the money. We're in an era where money decides who gets elected and who doesn't.
You know, when you hear somebody like Kim Kardashian even profit that she might run for president someday, you realize how low the bar has been lowered, or how high it's been raised. We're doing limbo. If we're doing limbo, how high it's been raised, if we're trying to jump over it, how low it's been.
Oh, yeah.
The fact is that when you hear her say that, you go, she's got the idea that she can become president because, hell, Trump did. You know?
She could probably.
She was just there the other day again. Why? A couple of days ago.
Well, it was another one of
Trump's
her
office.
trying to get another pardon for another drug.
I mean, he just
person.
of course, he just lets her in whenever she
They
wants to
sat
show
at
up.
a forum. She's sitting at a forum.
Unbelievable.
A big table with the Betsy DeVos, I think, was there.
Yeah,
and,
with all these powerful people.
And Jared was there, and Ivanka was there, and yeah.
It's laughable. It's like the Truman Show or
Well,
something
look,
going on.
look, I give her credit.
No, that's fine for her.
I give
but
her
the fact
credit.
that
I give
he
her credit
gives her attention.
for involving herself in something bigger than what clothes she's going to
No,
wear.
I give
today.
her credit.
You know.
My problem is that Trump gives her a forum just because she's Kim Kardashian.
Right.
And because
That's
she likes
absurd.
Right. If
And
Ray
because she
Renati
likes-
had called him up and said, "I want to talk to you about somebody, I want pardon," they go, "Fuck you."
A famous
Exactly.
person that likes him. A famous
With a
person
nice
who has
ass.
a lot of Twitter people, a lot
Yeah,
of
that's it.
big following.
Takes a
Big
nice
tits.
picture.
Yeah.
You want to see if that ass is really as big as it looks on TV.
Yeah, he probably wants to bury his face in between those cheeks.
Can't bury his dick
Well, the
in
only thing
there.
I hate about that ass is, did you ever see the porn film of her? You can't see what's going on because that ass is too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even see Jay-Z's face. It's just
Right.
Titty. Oh, that Lewis Black bit, I remember. Titty ass.
titties, titties everywhere.
2001 Britney Spears Super Bowl halftime show, I think.
By the way,
ass
I'm
on
making
it.
this offer to Rob as a friend because he's been so good to this network and lending his voice and his talent that anytime you want me to come down there, I'll help you paint the wall in back of you.
This is my garage. It's going to stay.
What are the little dots? Is that where the nails went in or something?
Yeah, that's just they spackle over the nail.
So why didn't they just paint it?
They don't paint garages.
Why?
They spackle it. They finish it. If you want to paint it, you can.
Oh, I
That's
see.
the first thing I did with mine. I painted it. I don't know why.
Really? You get everything else. They do the whole house, but they don't finish the garage.
Yeah,
Costs money.
Why? Is that because people are so particular about how their garage looks? They want to be able
extra
to choose
15
their own
minutes.
paint?
I don't. I've looked up and down all the houses here. Nobody's garage is painted. They all look like this.
Really? Well, it's
Yeah.
because nobody else
Yeah,
wants
it's
to
like
do it.
15 minutes. They spray paint the whole house, and
Yes.
you think they spray paint the garage, but they don't.
No shit.
Yeah, they use spray guns. They spray the whole house is sprayed white.
Gee,
Yeah.
and I wish
another 15 minutes.
Once in my life I should have built a house. I never did that. But it sounds like you've had an enjoyable time doing that.
Oh, it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
it was.
Nerve wracking and fun at the same time.
Is
because you have to
everything-
make all these decisions in 5 minutes, picking everything?
Is it all pretty well settled now? Because I know that they wait a year for the house to be.
Yeah. In next Tuesday or Wednesday, they're coming to fix the walls, all the nail pops, all the seams, and all the stuff that's settled in the past year. But in the next 5 years, it's going to settle more like my last house did. It'll just settle, and I have to fix them
And
again.
eventually you'll wake up one morning and the ceiling is on your bed.
Not that bad, but especially around the staircases, all the seams start to give out, and you got to have that all fixed.
What kind of workmanship is that?
It's just a house settling.
It's just you can't prevent that. In other words,
No, that's that kind of stuff. Gets hot, it gets cold, it's humid, it's dry, and the house moves and settles.
And they don't build houses like they used to. I had a wall. I had a wall that was crooked, and they said they'd come in and fix it. And the guy came in with a 2x4 and a sledgehammer, and he starts pounding at the bottom of the studs. I said, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Well, your house, Rob, was kind of prefab, wasn't it? And they brought in the walls, and then they
build all this stuff. They tell you it's funny because if you look down the street here, they're building. There's a whole new street going up, and all of they bring these big 18-wheel trucks in, and they drop off the house in pieces, right? And then it gets and then it gets assembled on site, and they say that it's built in this controlled environment, but then that stuff will lay out in the rain and the weather until they.
Yeah. Isn't that what we? Isn't that what we?
One of the first houses up, and I watched the whole neighborhood get built around here. Yeah.
Isn't that what we used to call prefab?
It's next to that. It's not as quite as it's as computerized. Everything is computerized. The way they build everything and design that way, and then they just assemble it on site. They send all the frames are all put up, and like the whole side of the house goes up. Then the trusses go up on the top, and they just build it in pieces. And they put the house up within like 48 hours, and you've got the whole house up. Then they start to close it in.
Wow! And yet you're able to kind of design it the way you want it, so it doesn't look like the house next door. Does it look like the house next door to you?
They don't design you don't design the house like you don't design the floor plan. You pick a floor plan, and then you can design all the pieces in it, like the flooring and the cabinets and the granite countertops and the what you want to finish and what you don't want to finish.
But in other words, if I came to your neighborhood, would your house look different than the one next door to it?
Yes, because they have different what they call elevations, right? The guy next door to me, most of these houses are Milans. This is called a Milan. And so the front of the house, it doesn't look the same because the front is different. They may move the peak to the left and then to the right and then to the center. So they all look a little bit different.
Every fourth or fifth house would be different, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this is a whole...
I live in an Eichler. It's the same thing.
Oh, Eichler homes were very famous.
Oh, yeah. They're real nice. They're really popular now.
Yeah, when I first moved in, everyone hated them, and now everyone wants one. And the values are ridiculously high. And
the Burlingame has a whole bunch.
Why did they hate them? I guess because in their time they were like A-frames and things like that.
Yeah, well, they're built on a slab. There's no subfloor. There's no attic.
Flat top.
Rewiring anything. Well, mine's not quite flat. Some of them are a little angled. Our next door neighbor's flat. You get a lot of roof leaks. It's just bad construction.
Yeah.
But it's nice because there's a lot of light.
Quickly, Tom.
Last plug for tomorrow, the big climate march in San Francisco. I hope all you Bay Area people be there tomorrow. Make it the biggest climate march on the West Coast in history.
Good. Okay.
What time?
11 o'clock. Start gathering up then.
And listen, we got to go. I thank you so much. It was a great citizen panel tonight. Just terrific. Jeff, always good to see you here. Tom, always good to see you here. Patrick, what can I say? If it wouldn't be a citizen panel without you. And Brian, thank you so much for calling. Rob, always nice to see you. You're always a good anchor on this citizen panel. And Kevin, love having you here. Ray, love having you here. Like family. Anyway, everybody, give him a big wave goodbye, and we'll say goodnight for this week. Bye-bye. That's the citizen panel, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's all about. That's how we play the game, and we played it pretty well tonight. I really enjoyed the discussion. It was fluid, and it worked, and it was terrific, and all of those things. Anyway, I'm Alex Bennett. Next is The Intersection with Jack Bishop, followed very closely at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time by Connections. We'll be back here after Damian Chaplin on Tuesday at 9:30. We'll be here at 10. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye.